Samstaptam yena bhutaleshvam upagadamyam dadati svapadantikam Vandeham Shiyuda Padakamanam Shigum Vaishnavamsa Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitantam Sajivan Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saganalita Shivshakam Vitamsa He Krishna Karuna Sindhudina Bandha Jatpate Gopesh Gopka Kanta Radha Kanta Mastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamama Haripriye Pancha Kalpta Vishakhe Pasan Visha Padnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamni Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Singhavati Paskachari Dasotari. So today we will read from the third chapter of the first canto. Krishna is the source of all incarnations. So we have been hearing many incarnations yet, and we will hear today the incarnations from text 10 to 28. So text 11 is on the screen. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jyamudiyayat Nastrayasya Bhadrasu Nityam Bhagavatasya Bhagavate Uttamaslake Bhakti Bhavti Naistiki. Text 11. Sastammate apachyatvam vritta prapto nasuyaya amvikshikim alakaya paladadipya uchivan. The sixth incarnation of the Purusa was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahlad and others, Yau, Ahaya, etc. Purport. The Lord incarnated himself as Dattatreya, the son of Risha, Atri, and Anasuya. So Lord Kapila, Dattatreya, he appears in the fourth canto. There is a description of the appearance of Dattatreya there. The sage Atri is worshipping the Supreme. But Atri is not exactly sure who is the Supreme. It could be Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva, who is the Supreme. It could be, they are the controllers of the universe. Therefore, he was unsure. And when he performed his worship, the three controllers of the universe appeared before him. They came him because he worshipped them to have the Lord as his son, the Supreme as his son, but he was not sure who was the Supreme. Therefore, all of three came, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and they all offered to appear as his son. So Vishnu Vishnu, he appeared as Dattatreya. Dattatreya we find also in the 11th canto in the form of the Avadutta Brahman, who attained detachment from the world to, and he taught King Yadu how just by observing the creation one can become liberated. He taught him in the form of 24 gurus. So we are going back also to Narayan Kavacha in the 6th canto, 6, 8, 16. In the Narayan Kavacha we find the following prayer to Lord Dattatreya. May Lord Dattatreya, the master of all mystic power, protect me from falling while performing Bhakti Yoga. A good prayer. No? So here we have two, Dattatreya and Narayan, who are protecting us from falling. We heard before Narayan also. And now we will read text 12, and that's another incarnation, Jahya. Tasa saptamya kutyam ruche Jahya bayayata sayamatya suraganer apat svayam bhuvantaram. The 7th incarnation was Jahya, the son of Prajapati Ruchi and his wife Akuti. He controlled the period during the change of the Swayambhuva Manu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama. So this is the incarnation Jahya. We don't have much information about him. But in the purport, it is explained that the post of demigods is awarded to highly elevated pious living entities, that living beings. Sometimes the post is empty because there are no qualified. There was no one who could become Indra. Therefore, at that time, the Lord took the post of Indra. So one time, Srila Prabhupada, CBC man for India, requested permission to give up his post and go to America to preach. Srila Prabhupada approved of the preaching spirit, but privately he said, he can go and preach, but I have to stay and manage India. At one point, Srila Prabhupada was a GBC for India because no one could handle it. Very rough. No one wanted to be GBC for India. It was a very difficult time. Narayan Kavacha says 688, may Jahya protect me from defamation and harm from the populace. So yes, Swayam Rupa, because that is what the chapter is about, that Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Krishna's to Svayavam Bhavam. So he is the original person, the Swayam Rupa, the original form of Krishna. But then you have its expansions. They are called Tat Ekatma Rupa. And you have Vilas expansions and Svamsa expansions. The Vilas, there's a third category, the Avesha Rupa. So the Svamsa are mostly the Lila avatars. The Avesha Rupa are like Prithu Maharaj, Narada Muni, Sakyavesh avatars, they call it sometimes. Sometimes they are also put by Lila avatars. Sometimes these categories are overlapping, but we will focus in this chapter of the Lila avatars. That if you want more information on this, it's very technical, but you can read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila chapter 20, starting from verses 165. There you find the entire explanation of all the avatars. But we are concentrating in this chapter on the Tat Ekatma Rupa, and the Svamsa avatars. In other words, the Lila avatars. Now we come to text 13, and that's King Rishabhadev. Astama meo divyam tu nabe chata ukramaha darshayan vartmadiranam svavasrama namaskritam. King Rishabhadev, the eighth incarnation was King Rishabha, and son of King Nabi and his wife Merudev. In his incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. So we have King Rishabhadev. He was preaching to his sons to renounce material happiness and to attain spiritual happiness. Brahmasakyam Vanantam, never-ending spiritual happiness. These teachings, it's in the 5th canto, chapter 5. The first 20 verses are very deep. It gives the basic principles of Krishna consciousness. It's very nice to understand this chapter a bit deeply. So many helpful points for our advancement in spiritual life are there. So King Rishabhadev will explain this to his 100 sons, that from these 100 sons, there are 9 who will become liberated persons, that Paramahamsas. And they are called they are called Navayogendras. And Navayogendras in the 11th chapter, they meet King Nimi, and King Nimi asks one question to each of the Navayogendras, and they answer these questions. That's in the 11th canto. But of course, he had also most of his, many of his sons were Brahmins and also Kshatriyas. All orders were in his sons, between his sons. Narayan Kavacha speaks also about King Rishabhadev 6:8-18. May Lord Rishabhadev, who conquered his inner and outer senses, protect me from fear produced by the duality of heat and cold. Now text 14 is Prithu, King Prithu. Rishibirasito bejena vanam partivam vapu Doktemam usadir Bprs Tenayam sa usa tamaha. O Brahmins, in the 9th canto, the Lord prayed for the sages accepted. Prayed for by sages, accepted the body of a king, Prithu, who cultivated the land to yield various produces, and for that reason the earth became beautiful and attractive. So King Prithu, he appears in the 4th canto. In the 4th canto, and is born from the dead body of King Venu, the sinful King Venu. And he comes to beautify the earth, and he comes to milk the earth in the form of a cow. So it is in the professional reciters, those who are glorifying King Prithu in 3, 4, 6, 17. The king will be just like an affectionate father to his citizens, and he will treat himself as the most obedient servant of the devotees, who always preach the glories of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 4, 6, 18. The king will consider all embodied living entities as dear as his own self, and he will always be increasing the pleasures of his friends. He will intimately associate with liberated persons, and he will be a chastising hand to all impious persons. That is King Prithu, the 4th canto of the Bhagavatam. And now 15. That is Matsya, who will appear in the last chapter of the 8th canto. Upam Sakhe Matsyam Chaksusodade Samplave Navyarupamahi Mayam Apat Vaishvasvatam Manum. When there was a complete inundation after the period of Chakshusa Manu, and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected Vaishvasvatamanu, keeping him up on a boat. So Matsyapa avatar appears in the 8th canto to save King Satyavrata, who becomes Vaishvasvatamanu. And Vaishvasvatamanu prays to him in the 5th canto. I offer my respectful obeisance to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is pure transcendence. He is the origin of all life, bodily strength, mental power, and sensory ability. Known as Matsya Avatar, the gigantic fish incarnation, he appears first among all the incarnations. Again, I offer my obeisance unto him. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 5.8.25. The prayers offered to the Lord by the essence of Jambudvip. So it's easy to guess how Matsya will protect us. We go to the Narayan Kavatsa 6.8.13. May the Lord who assumes the body of a great fish protect me in the water from the fierce animals that are associated with the demigod Varuna. So Matsya will protect us in the water. Text 16. Surasuranam udatim matnatam mandarachalam date kamatarupena Krista eka dasevibu. The 11th incarnation of the Lord took the form of a tortoise whose shell served as a pivot for the Mandarachal hill, which was being used as a churning rod by the theist and atheist of the universe. So Srila Prabhupada is commenting on this verse, and he says, even the demigods must struggle in existence. So the demigods, to have Lakshmi Devi, to get the moon, they must work very hard to churn the ocean of milk. In the Narayan Kabacha, may Lord Kurma, the tortoise, protect me from falling to the unlimited hellish planets. Protect us from falling to the unlimited hellish planets. So if we fall to the hellish planets, then we have here Kurma can catch us before. That's of course we don't plan to go there, but he can protect us from falling to hell. 17. In the 12th incarnation, Vanta Damvataram Tvadasanam Tayodasamivvacha Apayat Vatsurananyan Moinyam Mohayan Shreya. In the 12th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Damvantari. In the 13th, he allured atheists by charming the beauty of a woman and gave nectar to the demigods to drink. So I'm here following a cue at Arogyan Niketan, the Ayurvedic clinic in Ujjain, and there in the main room here, they have, in the main room they have a deity of Damvantar, that was he cures diseases. There's also a verse in the 2nd canto, 7th chapter. It is said that Damvantari easily cures diseases of every diseased living entity, simply by his fame personified, and only of him do the demigods achieve long life. And he also started the medical science in this universe. According to Ayurveda, if you get a cure, you should not only take medicine, but also pray to Vishnu for being cured. Pray to Dhanvantari to be exact. Dhanvantari cures all diseases. So Narayan Kavacha says 6:8:18. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his incarnation as Dhanvantari relieve me from undesirable eatables and protect me from physical illness. So this is also a good protection by Dhanvantari. And the second incarnation in this verse, which is mentioned, is Moini Mukti. She appeared in the 8th canto. Of course, Dhanvantari also appeared in the 8th canto. Both of them appeared practically simultaneously. He's carrying the nectar, and then the demons stole it, and she came and cheated the demons. Actually, there is a verse somewhere in the 8th canto where Sukadev Goswami also discusses about Mohini Mukti, and he compares Mohini Mukti to Lord Buddha, who also cheated the atheist. Now we go to verse 18. Shatodasam narashingam Bprs yandramurchitam Tatara karcherova erakam katakachata. In the 14th incarnation, the Lord appeared as Nrsimha and bifurcated the strong body of the atheist Hiranyakasipu with his nails, just as a carpenter pierces cane. So That's the 7th canto in the Bhagavatam. That goes in the Narayan. Let's start with reading about Nrsimhadev from the Narayan Kavacha, how Nrsimhadev protects us. May Lord Nrsimhadev, who appeared as the enemy of Hiranyakashipu, protect me in all directions. His loud laughing vibrated in all directions and caused the pregnant wives of the Asuras to have miscarriages. May that Lord be kind enough to protect me in difficult places like the forest and the battlefront. The forest and the battlefront. So normally the list of incarnations, in the list of incarnations, we have the father and mother mentioned, but not in the case of Nrsimhadev. Of course, he is born from a pillar. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada said his father and mother are not mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. This shows that God is everywhere. There is a very nice prayer to Lord Nrsimhadev in the 5th canto. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste aste asya virbhavavasnaka vasitam stakamasyam randaitamurgasagasham svaya abhayamatmani bhuistyam sham. I offer my respectful obeisance unto Lord Nrsimhadev, the source of all power. O my Lord, who possesses nails and teeth just like thunderbolts, kindly vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. Please appear in our hearts and drive away our ignorance so that by your mercy we may become fearless in the struggle for existence in this material world. So the prayer is to Lord Nrsimhadev that he comes in our heart and destroys our materialistic desires. There is also in the Nrsimha Kavacha, the 2nd verse, that Prahlad Maharaj loudly chanted the holy name of Nrsimhadev. May Lord Nrsimhadev, roaring for his devotee Prahlad Maharaj, protect us from all fear of dangers created by stalwart leaders in all directions through poison, weapons, water, fire, air, and so on. May the Lord cover their influence by his own transcendental influence. May Nrsimhadev protect us in all directions and in all corners above, below, within and without. So now we are going to next text, 19. Panchadasam pamanakam kitvagat advaram bale padadrayam yamanacha Vatyaditshostepistapam. The 15th incarnation, the Lord assumed the form of a dwarf Brahman, Vaman, and visited the arena of sacrifice arranged by Maharaj Bali. Although at heart he was willing to regain the kingdom of the 3 planetary systems, he simply asked for a donation of 3 steps of land. So about Vamandev, we have here from the Narayan Kavacha, 6.8.14. By expanding his illusory energy, the Lord assumed the form of a dwarf, Vaman. May Vaman protect me on the land. So we had previously the list of incarnations from the Kumaras up to Lord Nrsimhadev. We will discuss today the rest of the incarnations, or most of them, and especially Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there we will also hear what is the result of chanting this chapter of incarnations. It is said somewhere in the Vedas that a materialistic person says one thing, but he is thinking another thing. And he does still another thing. But the sadhu says what he thinks and does what he says. So Vamandev was not acting like a sadhu. He was saying one thing, but in his heart he was thinking another. He said, just give me 3 steps of land, but actually he wanted the whole universe. He was actually cheating Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj was very honest. I promised I must give, although his guru said, no, actually this Vamandev is going to take everything from you for which you worked so hard. He's going to take it away from you and give it back to Indra. Bali Maharaj was very honest. He upheld his vow and said, no, I promised, I must give this land to Vamandev. But actually Vamandev knew that Bali Maharaj was a devotee of heart. Even though he was playing the part of a demon, Vamandev said that Bali Maharaj was a devotee and that his opulence was getting in the way of his devotional service. Therefore, he came and cheated him out of his opulence. But actually, it was for the better, because when Bali Maharaj surrendered his life to Vamandev, then Vamandev gave himself to Bali Maharaj, so he was not a loser. That we have Matsya protecting us in the water and in the sky. We have the universal form, so we're getting protection from these incarnations, from the Narayan Kavacha. Now, text 20. Avatar sadasame pasyam brahmaduho nipam trisapta kritva kupito nikshatram akaron mahim. In the 16th incarnation of the Godhead, the Lord has Brihupati annihilated the administrative class, the Kshatriyas, 21 times, being angry with them because of their rebellion against the Brahmins, the intelligent class. So here we hear about Parasuram. Lord Parasuram appears in the 9th canto. In the 9th canto, where there is a description of the dynasty of the moon god, Srila Prabhupada would say one thing. When Parasuram killed the Kshatriyas 21 times, that then many fled to Europe. So Srila Prabhupada would say that the Europeans are descendants of the Kshatriyas that fled from Bharatvarsha. Now the Vedic culture comes to you, and you should take advantage and remember your ancient heritage, Srila Prabhupada would often say. Narayan Kavacha 6.8.15. May Parasuram protect me on the tops of mountains. So it protects us on the tops of mountains. Go to mountains. Vyasadeva is the incarnation in text 21. Tatta saptada sejata satyavatyam parasarat sakre vedadarosaka prishvapam solpamedasa. Thereafter, in the 7th incarnation of Godhead, Shri Vyasadeva appeared in the womb of Satyavati to Parasaramuni, and he divided the one Veda into several branches and sub-branches, seeing that people in general were less intelligent. So Vyasadeva appears in the 1st canto in connection with the history of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Many astrologers can see the future, but they cannot change the future. Vyasadeva foresaw the problems of Kali Yuga, and he did something to change the future. What he did was writing Srimad Bhagavatam for the benefit of the people of this age. Now we have Narayan Kavacha about Vyasadeva. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his incarnation as Vyasadeva protect me from all kinds of ignorance resulting from the absence of Vedic knowledge. So we can pray to Shri Vyasadeva for protection against ignorance. Now, incarnation in text 22, the 18th incarnation. Naradevatvamapana Surakarya Shikarsha Samudra Nishahadini Sakrevayan Ataparam. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram in order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods. He exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist King Ravan, who was at the other side of the sea. So Srila Prabhupada many times pointed out that Ravan wanted to send people to the heavenly planets without qualifications, just like trying to go to America without having a visa. So you need to have some qualification to go to the heavenly planets. Ravan wanted to build a staircase, so why should we do all these austerities and penances? Just build a staircase and you climb and walk up your way to the heavenly planets. That was Ravan's plan. Srila Prabhupada said that also the modern scientists want to go to the moon and other planets. Srila Prabhupada said this is also Ravan's plan. He wants to challenge the established order of the Lord. But no one can challenge the power of the Lord. We see here in the purport that only the Lord himself can transcend the laws of nature. Lord Ram built a bridge with stones floating on the water. But scientists can do that. So the Lord can make the stones weightless and can make them float in the water. So this is the real God, not a scientist. Narayanka Vatsha 6.8.15. May the elder brother of Bharat, Lord Ramchandra, along with his brother Lakshman, protect me in foreign countries. So that's very good for sannyasis, that to be protected in foreign countries, always traveling. Text 23. That Ekonavim Sivim Satim Krishnishu Prapya Janmani Ramakrishna Viti Bhogo Bhagavan Aratvaram. In the 19th and 20th incarnation, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vishnu, the Yadu dynasty, and by doing so he removed the burden of the world. So a significant point in this verse is here the word Bhagavan is mentioned. Lord Krishna will appear in the first canto, where he shows his love for his devotees by protecting them from all dangers, by saving Bhishma, appearing before Bhishma at the time of death. Krishna and Balaram, of course, will display their full pastimes in the 10th canto. In the 11th canto, Krishna instructs Uddhav Gita. There is no prayer for Lord Krishna in the Narayanka Kavacha Stotra. So I'm reciting a prayer from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ainanda tanucha kinkaram patitamam visami bhavambuto kipayata vapada pankacha stitadule satvisham visintaya. That's 6 Astakam, verse 5. O son of Maharaj Nanda, I'm your eternal servitor, yet some way or another I fall into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Narayanka Vatsha actually does pray to Lord Balaram. So 6.8.18. May Lord Balaram and Shesha protect me from envious serpents. That's from the Narayanka Vatsha. So the next verse is written before the incarnation actually appeared and is referring to Buddha. Tatakala sampravrite samohaya surat visam buttu nam nanjana sutta kikakteshu bhavishyati Then in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful taste. So from the Narayanka Vacha about Buddha, 6.8.19. May Lord Buddha Dev protect me from activities opposed to the Vedic principles and from laziness that causes one to madly forget the Vedic principles of knowledge and ritualistic action. So Buddha deluded the atheists because he said to them, don't follow God, reject the Vedas, just follow me. But Buddha is God, so he made them faithful to God. They didn't know that he was God, but he said, just follow me. Then he preached ahimsa, sub-religious principles. So in this way, he was cheating them, and he made them faithless faithful to he made the faithless faithful to him. So that is what Srila Prabhupada wrote in the purport. Buddha made the faithless faithful to him. What Srila Prabhupada wrote about Buddha is also applicable to Srila Prabhupada himself. He made also the faithless faithful to him. This is very similar, of course. In Kali Yuga, everyone is faithless. People today are teaching, have faith in yourself. You have the power to change everything, so this is where faith has to be applied in Kali Yuga. Srila Prabhupada said, no, you must serve Krishna. And because of his love and dedication, they followed him. Srila Prabhupada makes another point in the purport. Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam is written 5,000 years ago, just prior to the beginning of Kali Yuga. Lord Buddha appeared much later than that. Therefore, this is one of the predictions. Bhavishyati, he will appear. He will appear. Narayanka Vacha. So he will protect us from madness and laziness. So many of these incarnations are protecting us from falling down from devotional service. So Lord Buddha is one of them, so that we don't become lazy and mad. Text 25 is another prediction. Atasa yoga sandhyayam dasya payesurajyasu Shanita Vishnu Jasasa Namna Kalkirchirapati. Therefore, at the conjunction of two yugas, the Lord of creation will take his birth as the Kalki incarnation and become the son of Vishnu Yasa. At this time, the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunderers, that's Kalki. It is best that we don't wait until Kalki comes. At that time, the devotees will be hunted by the other people. It would not be a very good time for the devotees to live. Lord Kalka appears in the 12th canto riding only on his horse. At that time he will not preach. His mercy will be to kill everyone. Everyone will be on the level of animals. Animals cannot hear the Vedas. Narayanka Vacha says 6.8.19. May Kalki Dev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared as an incarnation to protect religious principles, protect me from the dirt of the age of Kali. So he will help us in this age of Kali Yuga. Now text 26. Avatara yasankyaya are sattvani devicha yata vidasina kulya sarasa susasrasa. O Brahmins, the incarnation of the Lords are innumerable, like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible sources of water. So Srila Prabhupada lists some of the many incarnations of the Lord. So many. In one day of Brahma, there are 4,000 Manus, or Yuga avatars. In one day of Brahma, that there are 1,000 Yugas in a day of Brahma. The Lord Krishna comes as these incarnations simply because we are suffering. He's coming again and again to remind us, please come back to Godhead. There are many Lila incarnations that has been listed here in Srimad Bhagavatam, but incarnations have not been mentioned in this list. Hamsa Avatar, the Swan incarnation maybe, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ayagriva. But Lord Chaitanya is quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaj as an incarnation for Kali Yuga in the 7th canto, and Lord Chaitanya is also mentioned in canto 11 and 12. Now text 27. Isayomana Bhavodeva Mana Putram Hayasa Kalo Sharvehare Sapraja Pataya Smita. All the rishis, manas, demigods, and the sons of Manu who are especially powerful are plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. This also includes the Prajapati. So Srila Prabhupada is lecturing on this verse, and he says that the word man comes from Manu. We are all the sons of Manu. We are all human beings, mankind. There are two dynasties, the Surya and the Soma dynasty. All the human beings come from these dynasties, which are described in Canto 3 to 9. So, verse 28, the last verse of it, is called the Emperor verse. That's where the conclusion really of all these avatars. That it is samskala pumsa Krishna stu bhagavan swam idrari vyakulam lokam ritayantu yuge yuge. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets wherever there is a disturbance created by the atheist. The Lord incarnates to protect the atheist. So, according to Bhurijan Prabhu, this verse is the Mahabhagya, the most conclusive statement of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. These rules all things, it rules all the verses, because Krishna is distinguished as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj analyzes the Sanskrit of this verse, and he proves that it would be fallacious to assume that someone else is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only Krishna. One could say, he is in the list also. He is one of the incarnations. No, this verse disproves that theory. It takes the first word, ete, and all these, and then amsakala, the parts and planetary parts, are coming from the Supreme Person. Then you have Krishna's tu, the word tu or but. This indicates a change of subject. But Krishna is Svayam, Bhagavan Svayam. He is the original personality of Godhead. Krishna is in a different category. That is what tu means. He is not the same as the word Kala. He is in a different category. He is Bhagavan Svayam. In the purpose, Srila Prabhupada explains that all these incarnations display limited powers of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada gives the example of a light ball. That if the light ball gives some limited amount of power, that does not mean that the powerhouse can only deliver this amount of power. If you go to the source, the powerhouse, then you can see it can supply power to huge factories with hundreds of lights. Incarnations show only enough power that is needed at that time. The example is Lord Rama. He married only one wife, and when he was present, the sage of Dandakaranya desired to have Ram in the future as their husband. But he said, no, Eka Patni, only one wife in this incarnation. So there are so many incarnations, but Krishna is the full power.